check the health of the stream. Let's check the stream. Where are we? Check. All right, there we are. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna play the music. Here we go. All right.
白岩学園3年 B 組の皆さん、こんにちは。
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning somewhere. One time zone away. So we'll say morning for now, because that's fine. Well, I was going to do a little bit more for the stream today in terms of music preparation. However, sadly, my projects are keeping me quite busy, so it's very difficult for me to throw together a set list right now. So at the moment, I'm going to have to rely on just whatever I had at hand on my hard drive. So the set is a little bit disjointed, but they're pretty good tracks, so I'm going to let it go, and I'm not going to worry about it too much. That said, I'm going to... Oh, Lemur stream, what's going on there? Is Julian Groiper going to get ready to start streaming? Doing a short stream afterwards on Protestantism, followed by offline chat with whoever ends up getting on. I've decided that my... Nice, I like it. Freaking Julian Groiper is going to be streaming. Outstanding. I'm going to go ahead and join too. I'll make sure to... here, Julian Groiper, Julian Groiper, I'm going to temporarily mod you. And I want you to post a link to your channel. So, let's see here. Julian Groiper, go ahead and post your channel so that I can go and everyone else can go. And then we can all go. And then I'll link to your direct video at the tail end of this. So there we go. Okay. I'm going to... Oh, he's making tea, which of course is very important. So let's go ahead and allow for that one because that is important. So yeah, my day has been quite busy, surprisingly so. My projects are coming along nicely, so I'm very happy about that. The nice thing about them, of course, is that they're coming along nicely. The sad thing about them, of course, is that they basically disallow me to do anything else throughout the day. So, like, basically I take food breaks. I'm sorry to say I actually do count streaming as being a break. And today I took a long freaking break so that I could stream. This is 100% true. I can feel eyes rolling at me right now, but whatever. Yeah, everything is coming along quite swimmingly, so I'm very happy about that. And the next phase is going to be coming up in the next couple of months. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's sort of a thing, though. I think that it's important to, like, whatever you're doing, I think you should have the idea of, like, in the back of your head, what are you going to do afterwards? Like, if you have a plan, if you have a thing that you're doing, I think you should have it, rather, I think that you should be thinking sequentially. So, for me, my greater plan, of course, is to simply support my people, more or less, in whatever capacity that I can. And, you know, making media is not the greatest thing in the world. There is... It's silly. It is silly. Fundamentally, making media is kind of silly. That cannot be avoided, because when you stop and think about it, making a short film is a combination of furniture moving and also playing dress up. When you really stop and think about it, you can make good versions of playing dress up. Obviously. We call those classic movies, but on a basic level it is kind of silly in a way. But nonetheless, I still enjoy it. Fundamentally, I still enjoy it, so I'm going to do it. But at the same time, I think that it's a good call to have, like, further plans. Like, if you have one plan, you should have a chain of plans so that each one kind of builds on the next, so that you end up with something like a domino effect. So the edit that I'm working on right now, I'm going to be playing that when I finally get around to moving towards the short film. So I'm going to throw together a couple of teasers for the short film project so that I can start rattling a can for shekels at some point. So that's the plan after that. And then the plan after that, of course, is to actually get all of the materials in line so that I can go ahead and fulfill all the necessary pre-production criteria. You have to have your locations pretty much locked down. You have to have your actors pretty much locked down. You have to make sure that you have your costumes and your set dressing and your props pretty much locked down. You have to make sure that you have the budget necessary to feed the cast and the crew. There is nothing worse than working on a set where there isn't enough food. Surprisingly enough, a huge amount of money ends up going into feeding your cast and crew. That's a very underlooked element of filmmaking. But it's 100% something that you absolutely have to think about, because having decent food actually does, number one, boost morale, and number two, well, actually, number one, it keeps the energy up, like physically, your actual energy levels, and number two, it boosts morale if you have good food. And I don't mean things like pizza, because pizza's bad. It ends up weighing you down, and then next thing you know, you have your pizza, and then you feel great for about 15 minutes or something like that, and then somewhere around 45 minutes later, you're just dragging ass, and it's awful. And if you're in the middle of work, doing that, and being on a movie set is a combination of like incredible amounts of boredom with little flurries, bursts of panic attacks, basically. At least that's what it's like to if you're working on crew, because with crew, the vast majority of it is like, you do your set dressing, or if you're doing makeup, yeah, sure, fine, you do the makeup in the morning, and then you do touch-ups throughout the day. And you do have to be on call. It's important because every so often there does need to be a reset for one reason or another. But at the same time, once you complete your first job function, you're basically on set trying to figure out how you can fill time, and that's why it becomes a major issue to keep morale up and to make sure that you're absolutely clocking everything in as quickly as possible, because there's nothing worse than a set that is languishing. That is absolutely the worst. But anyway, when you have all of these things lined up in such a way that you have like a series, like a pattern of goals and events and whatever, you can actually, surprisingly, you can build on things very well, very nicely. So that's the general plan. But the reason that I mention this is because I think that there needs to be a balance for thinking about what you're doing now and giving just enough thought to the future that you can lay plans for the future as well. So, for example, today I have my I have the edit that I was working on, and there's one section that was giving me a lot of trouble, which is frustrating too, because it's literally like I think it's a 6-second portion of the track. And so just imagine, this is not a joke or an exaggeration, and I feel like a retard even saying this out loud, so everyone gets to roll their eyes at me, but it's true. I think I spent 3 or 4 hours on approximately 6 seconds of footage. Now, getting that 6 seconds is great because it actually it's meaningful. It's very important that this particular 6 seconds work out for reasons that are irrelevant in the larger context, but relative to what I wanted to do, they became very, very important. So, I'm very happy about that, of course. But in all of that time that I spent obsessing about frickin' 6 seconds of footage, one of the issues is that what do you end up doing? You languish with regards to everything else. So, like, literally everything that I wanted to do for the rest of the day, I pretty much set aside. So for my initial project, yeah, sure, it's doing great. The edit is doing great. And then for the short film project, there's one element that I'm working on right now, and I have about 60% of it complete, which is pretty good, but I need to get it to 100% as quickly as possible. And then I need to start getting the general preparatory work for what's going to come after that, because if I'm going to rattle a can for shekels, I need to have a can to rattle, and one of my issues right now is that I don't yet have a can to rattle. And by this I of course mean something along the lines of like PayPal or whatever, stuff like that. I don't have anything of the sort, so I'm gonna have to start getting in the mindset of preparing for the inevitable 1-2. If you're going to have the number 2, which is actually acquiring some capital, you have to have the first, which is having a canister in the first place. So it's just little things like that. As it turns out, most of my life has been spent being basically a hermit and not doing a whole hell of a lot. So you see all of those sort of goody two-shoes that always seem to know what to do, and they have all these plans, and they have all these things that they're doing, and they have designs, social obligations that they have to meet, and blah blah things stuff. I've never done any of that, and I'm finding myself in the awkward position of basically having to learn everything from scratch, and it's a hell of a thing. So this is what I mean by I guess I speak for myself. I'm gonna have to really start thinking about what it's like to make that balance, because man oh man, this is a one-man show. This is not cool. Maybe I'll see if I can conscript a couple of my pals to help me out. I'm gonna check the chat in just a moment. Oh, hey, Norvin's here. Hey, buddy. I'm going to check the chat in just a moment. I think I want to go ahead and read another excerpt from my third favorite book, which is Die Fröhliche Wissenschaft, or translated into English, The Gay Science, which obviously I love the title of this book because it's funny. For my own personal reasons, I think it's funny. Let's see here. I'm going to read another poem, because he has a section on poems. I think he has, what is it? Oh yeah, it's a prelude in German hymn, or German rhymes rather. I forgot. And at the end he has poems. I forgot about that. So all the German rhymes are basically just him. Let's see here. Apparently I have a bookmark in here. I forgot that I have a bookmark in this book. That's weird. My God. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. A little blast from the past there. You're finding a bookmark that you haven't thought about in years, like over a decade. All right, moving on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read one of the poems. I think because of the mood that I'm in, I'm going to read a poem entitled Undaunted. This is Undaunted by Friedrich Nietzsche. Here we go. Where you stand, dig deep and pry. Down there is the well. Let the obscurantists cry. Down there's only hell. I like that. Undaunted. So basically he's saying, if you're going to do something, plant yourself firmly. And if other people tell you that you're planting yourself firmly in a silly location, don't worry about it. Do it anyway. Let the obscurantists cry. Down there's only hell. Obscurantism. To be an obscurantist, basically, let's see, obscure. So it seems though there's two interpretations. Obscure. So a person who is intentionally hiding something, or a person who is, see, obscurantist, someone who is esoteric in their conduct. Let's check out the word obscurantist. I just realized I've never had cause to look up that word. Obscurantist. There we are. It says the practice of deliberately preventing the facts or full details of something from becoming known. Yeah, so basically to be obscure. Okay, fair enough. So let the obscurantists cry, down there's only hell. So it seems as though he's referring to people who are vague, which suggests a level of malintent. A person who is intentionally vague does not necessarily have your best interests in mind. They might, but it's unlikely if they're intending on being vague from the get-go. So, yeah, he says, where you stand, dig deep and pry. Down there is the well. Let the obscurantists cry. Down there's only hell. Yes, so where you stand. So basically, if you pick a position that you find to be reasonable, something that you like, that should be your wellspring. That should be the place that you decide, no, this is it. And the obscurantists, if they deride you, if they decry what you're doing, don't worry about them. Dig down and do it anyway. And I think that one might think on, for example, the because it's in the news, we may as well. the whole pedophile thing that's going on in Hollywood, it's my opinion that it's perfectly reasonable to firmly say, no, no, no. Talking of sexualizing children is unacceptable, period, end of story. And I'm willing to die on that hill. I am willing to fight to the death on that hill to say that no, sexualizing children is always wrong and it is not acceptable whatsoever. And surprisingly, I had a couple of leftists on Twitter get defensive when I started calling out pedophiles, and so they mocked me. They mocked me by saying that there are bigger fish to fry than talking about bad jokes. And while I do agree that just because a person made a joke regarding pedophilia, that does not count them as being a pedophile. However, it does offer cover to people who are pedophiles, and it's my opinion that joking about such a thing in such a cavalier manner is not acceptable. In certain contexts, obviously, I'm sure that there must be instances in which, because I have to put qualifiers, it's just the way that I am. There must be a scenario somewhere in the universe where making a pedophilic joke must have some level of acceptability. I'm sure that one could probably design a super special case in which it is acceptable. I'm sure of it. Philosophers are known for these kinds of rhetorical tricks. However, as a general rule, I still maintain that no, it is not acceptable. And the leftists that were attacking me for calling out people making jokes about pedophilia, I defended my position and I told them, oh, okay, so you're telling me that, because, God, what were they talking about? Oh yeah, they're referring to, of course, the tired old hat now, which is anyone that disagrees with me is a Nazi. And so they were saying something to the effect of, these jokes are small potatoes, there are bigger fish to fry, there are Nazis in our midst, or something of this nature. To which I said, oh, okay, so you're telling me that discussing fucking babies is acceptable, meanwhile in-group preference is not acceptable. Okay, continue. And I had one of those very flippant, smug smile memes associated with it. I'm pretty sure it was the card crusher, the Japanese guy that crushed the card in a very impressive manner back in 2000, whatever it was, like 9 or something. Anyway, that's when the video was uploaded. Point is, I was willing to dig down on that. I was willing to dig my well. I was willing to dig down. And though those people, the obscurantists, did decry me, and they did say, down there's only hell. That is to say, they were implicitly telling me that I was either a Nazi or Nazi sympathizer by decrying pedophilia. So they were obscurantists. They were telling me that down there's only hell, and I decided not to listen to them. I only dug deeper. I called them out by saying, oh, so you're telling me that discussion of fucking babies is fine. Meanwhile, simply having in-group preference is unacceptable. And you know what? They shut up real fast. They settled down right quick. This is the power of staying on point, staying on target, maintaining your reference point. The Buddhists refer to this as Bhumisparsha. And Bhumisparsha, that's when, okay, so if you look at the paintings or sculptures of the Buddha, you'll see several of them where he's sitting cross-legged. He has one hand in his lap, and the other hand is touching the ground. That hand touching the ground, that's called Bhumisparsha. And the concept is that he is touching the ground to center himself as a mental indicator, a reminder. I am here. I am capable of touching the real world. There is such a thing as reality. There are things that are happening, and they are real. All of those people that would tell you there is no such thing as reality beyond what you perceive, there is no such thing as reality beyond what we agree upon, I flatly reject that. And I think that the Bumasparsha is a great sort of tip of the hat, a nod to the idea that no, we can apprehend, however, vaporiously we can. Yes, we do have problems with being able to perceive absolute reality, but we still know that we are experiencing something that is real. And these people that try to confuse you, I say whatever to them. I have no interest in such people because they're nothing but deceivers, and I don't believe them. Stay on point. Stay on target. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eye on the ball. And if you can do that, then these people, they can try to throw sand in your eyes, but if you know your target, if you know what you're aiming for, then you can stay on point, even when people are trying to distract and confuse you. And so this is sort of another glance at the idea of digging down. When Nietzsche says, dig down and pry, yeah, dig down. Stay where you are. Find a good place and just stay there. And people can try to confuse you, but if you know where you are, those attempts at confusing you will always fall flat. And I experienced it in real time. Granted, it was only over the internet, but still. But I have done these things in real life as well. I have had several conversations with people in the context of political discourse where they have tried to throw sand in my eyes, and I just maintain certain kinds of points. And so long as I maintain the points, it's completely fine. They can try to confuse me all they want, but I know where I am. And their attempt at confusing me never works. So anyway, alright, well, with all of that said, I guess I'm going to go ahead and check the chat briefly and see where we are. There we are. I guess I'm going to pop out the chat. Let's see here, chat pop out. There we are. And let's see where we are. And in a few moments, I'm going to play my first track for the evening. I have a couple of ats, so let's check out the ats. Let's see here. Toast Stone says Ekelux is on the pizza diet. It is because it prevents what you want your body to do. That is ketosis. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm actually moving away from breads now. So I actually did eat pizza last night. I had pepperoni and cheese pizza. As embarrassing as that is to admit, I totally did do that. And I'm moving slowly back towards, because I used to eat just like vegetables and meat, and that was about it. And only recently have I been going crazy on frickin' carbs. I think I'm still going to hold with the slice of toast and an egg for breakfast, because I actually really like that. You get the incredible sugar boost of the toast, and I think that so long as you limit yourself to just like one slice of toast and maybe one other carb thing for the day, I think it should be fine. So I'm going to start moving back towards that. And yeah, today my dinner was it was just like some chicken and some broccoli and then some sauce. So that's not too bad, I don't think. And yeah, the movement is going to be towards eating healthier, because oh my gosh, I gotta cut that out. I really have to cut that out, seriously. I looked at myself today, and I realized that my belly is, for the first time in my life, not even joking, first time in my life, my belly actually protruded just a touch. So I do have a little bit of a belly. Not a big one, but it is there. It completely is there. So yeah, I really have to be mindful. So I think that my next big thing is to incorporate calisthenics. I think I want to do it in the morning. That way I've got the whole day to recover, basically. So I think that's going to be what I do. Calisthenics in the morning. I have to figure out where I'm going to work that in, how I'm going to deal with it, because, you know, you've got your morning routines, and this is an addition to my to my morning routine. I don't know yet how to deal with that, but there you go. Anyway, okay, let's continue down. Elaine says, I think Little is taking advantage of the left's disdain for Israel and sympathy for blacks, and that's why he's jaywalking in liberal bubbles. It's possible. I don't know. I'm sorry to say I don't actually think about Pat Little that much. As I say, I still regard him as a meme vote, but I'm still going to vote for the guy because, I did vote for the guy, and I'd be happy to vote for him again should he decide to run again in an election in which I would be able to vote. But otherwise, yeah, I know he's big in some circles, but he's just not on my radar. That's really all that comes down to. Let's see here. Sin. Oh, okay. Sin's talking about some weird stuff. Alt-right scientist. Okay, all right. I don't know what that's all about. I'm going to continue down because there's some interpersonal stuff down there. Paul Bunyan says, I have the book personally, although the prose kind of feels like a demon has presented it to me in the night and is requiring me to reread it over and over. Yeah, there's, I think, a lot to be said for Nietzsche being quite... he's a bit much. He can be tightly wrapped, and he can be himself obscure. I think it's worth remembering that he likely did have syphilis, and he probably went stark raving mad because of a brain disease. It's not fun to say that because I still like Nietzsche. I still think he's great. But there are times when, yes, even I find myself reading his passages and thinking to myself, what the hell are you talking about? So, yeah, I do like Nietzsche, but I do think that he's the kind of guy where, yeah, read him with a grain of salt. Do read him with a grain of salt. Okay, let's continue down. Toast Stone says, I am imagining one of those hologram bookmarks. The question is, what animal is on it? Oh, gosh. Oh boy, what if it's what is it, the sea bear? Those little critters that can survive in space. Those are my favorites. I love those ones. All right, let's continue down. All right, Tom says, essentially I only consume content, but I don't try to go after people. Oh, let's see here. Okay, there's some stuff going on. Okay, yeah, there's like an entire thought chain going on there. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Maybe I'll ask about that later. Okay, let's continue down, and I think in a few minutes I'm going to go ahead and play some music. Paul Bunyan says, if I agree with people's politics, I'll defend their comedic choices. If not, I'll attack them unmercifully. I'm not principled. I am principled, and so I have a hard time with it. There are times when I will... based on principle alone, I'll do things that I know will hurt me in the short run, but I will have the ability to say that I held firm to my principles in the long run. And I do understand that that's a mixed bag. There are times when I have shot myself in the foot, and I know that. I understand that. But yeah, I get what you mean, Paul. I do understand what you mean. And that's why I say that... yeah, I like qualifiers because I know I've seen this so many times. You think you've formed an absolute, and for some reason, some weird freaking exception pops up, and you're like, son of a... but yeah, okay, anyway. Okay, let's continue down. Elaine Sabatino says, I'm trying to follow Eke and two Oh yeah, this is always what happens. There's always the twofold problem of watching the chat and catching what's going on and whatever happens to be going on in the stream. Let's see here. I think oh no, I think there's one or two more ads. So I'm gonna go ahead and check very quickly. Let's see here. Oh, Fairy Parents. Ooh. Fairy Parents guy is calling for a war. What's that? Damn hormone calling for war. Oh yeah, I saw that. By an amazing coincidence, I happened to catch that earlier today. Blackpilled uploaded it yesterday, and it's funny. Apparently, that's been making the rounds. A lot of people happened to catch it today. I think Why Am I? Yeah, he sent that to me via Twitter. So apparently it's on the radar for some reason. It's just out there. Anyone that hasn't seen it should absolutely check it out. I know about that video. Like, I watched the original months ago. I forget when it came out, but I remember when it came out, and I remember being very perturbed by the tone of the video, because the guy is basically calling for mass murder. He's pretty much calling for mass murder, and it's not cool in my opinion, because even though he counts himself as a comedian, and he seems to couch things in a semi-humorous tone, you could tell that he did not intend it as a joke. And I find that distressing, like really, really distressing. This tone has been catching a lot lately, and I really don't like it a lot. I'm still saving up for my rifle because, you know, I'm destitute, and it just takes me forever to save up for anything. It sucks tremendously, but, you know, this is just where I am. This is where I am in life, so, you know, it's just what it is. But like half of me wants to just say, forget it, man. Maybe I'll just get like a little 22 as a temporary go, just so that I've got something. Or maybe I'll forego the 22 and just get like a Glock 26, so that I just have something that I can keep on my person in an absolute worst, like in a freaking nightmare scenario, and not worry about having a full rifle. You know, as macabre as it is to say. If you have even if you have just a single shot pistol, you can count it as being a liberator, and then once you've got a liberator, well, then you're okay. And I guess because of my little 22 pistol, this is all Fed posting, so this stream is getting burned immediately after I'm done with this stream. But yeah, technically I have a liberator in terms of my my teensy weensy little 22. But I kind of feel like, man, I want to get like a centerfire, so, you know, pistol anyway, just in the odd event that I actually have to go through frickin' socialist revolution or whatever. And it's like, God, I can't believe that I'm having these thoughts. Like, you know you're in a bad spot when you actually are thinking about your physical safety. Like, that means that something's wrong, you know, in your community, your society. You shouldn't have to have those kinds of thoughts. And yet here I am. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Anyway, yeah, the parents, or rather the fairy parents guy is calling for war, surely, and that is the case. Okay. Ooh. All right, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna find the ads, because I know that there are two. So I'm gonna go and let's see here. I'm gonna go and find the ads way down. Where are they? Oh, here they are. I should look at the Bronze Age mindset. I haven't done that yet. If I recall correctly, Content Watcher was checking out the Bronze Age mindset, and he was saying that he liked it. So I happen to like Content Watcher. I think he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. So I'm willing to accept that he likely is seeing something that is worth seeing. Rather, he understands something that is worthy of attention. I genuinely think that that's the case. So yeah, I'm also interested in checking it out. Maybe I should totally check it out. Alright, Paul Bunyan says, it was an eternal recurrence joke. Oh, was it? Oh. Let's see here. It feels like a demon that is presented to me in the night and is requiring me to reread it over and over and over and over again. Okay, yeah, now I get the joke. Okay. I'm sorry to say, but you actually have to spell things out on occasion, because sometimes I forget. I forgot about the eternal recurrence concept. I haven't heard someone mention that in so long. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, what would that be? Yeah, it reminds me of the bouncing universe concept that those people talked about, where they thought that the universe, you'd have your great big explosion, the Big Bang, and then you'd have the big crunch. And then if you had a big crunch, in a way you would have all of the matter going into itself and creating the necessary conditions for another Big Bang. So you would have basically infinite Big Bangs. You would have like what I liked to refer to as the bouncing universe. And that kind of reminds me of the eternal recurrence concept. I mean, it's all silly, but it's funny. That's all. It's just funny. Okay, let's continue down. All right, where are we? Oh wow, a couple of extra ats popped up. So I'll check out those ats, and then I'll go over to the track. Let's see here. Saving up for a theremin. Heck yes, man. That's actually really awesome. Like, I'm really down with that. I would like to get a theremin. The only problem, of course, is that you have to have a studio and like musicians around you, I think, to use it properly. Otherwise, it's just kind of weird, but it's cool. Let's see here. OFY says 22s is still good. It's about shot placement. I completely concur. Once I learned about the Mozambique drill, I realized very quickly that in essence, yeah, you can totally get away with a 22. So long as you are running CCI, you should be fine. Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, let's continue down. Jake Jakey says, get a Glock 19 Gen 5 and stripped AR lower, then build the lower receiver yourself, buy the upper pre-made, cost effective. The only problem with that, Jake Jakey, is that I happen to live in a communist-run state. We don't have access to Glocks post Gen 3. We don't even have access to Glock 42 or 43 here. Unless you go through a private seller who happens to be a police officer, which means we have the tiniest trickle of Glock 43s, but basically the only people that have Glock 43s are friends of police officers, which means that you pretty much have to like hang out at the gun shop for months and months and months and months so that they trust you enough to go ahead and talk to you so that they can burn their one Glock 43 on you. So it's a real big fat freaking deal. And of course, what happens when you get the Glock 43? Well, it's going to be used and you're going to be paying more than retail. So it's like, well, that just sucks. At that point in time, you may as well just go with a freaking 26. So yeah, in all likelihood, I'm going to go for a 26 and also for a shield. The 26 will be my sort of absolute zombie apocalypse emergency pistol, and then the shield, I'd like to use that as my CCW. I do understand that training with two different grip angles is a minor issue, but if you consider that the shield would only pretty much be used in self-defense situations, so what, less than 30 feet or something, a 2-degree angle difference shouldn't be too much of a deal. So I think that I shouldn't have too many problems with that. And then if I ever move into a zombie apocalypse scenario, then the 26 should be absolutely fine. Because I would only be using that, and I'd probably just ditch the shield at that point. But whatever. Anyway, that's all a bunch of silliness that doesn't even matter. Mark C. apparently thinks that I'm radicalizing him. Absolutely not. I'm the most middle-of-the-road, boring person ever. Okay, let's continue down. Let's see here. Jakey says, oh yeah, I forgot. My bad, communist state. Yeah, I did. Like, it actually is. For any new people that I haven't told yet, there was a measure on the ballot here in California. This is from some years ago. I want to say it was 2014 or 2015. They actually put forth a measure so that open communists could hold political office. So you can actually be, in California, there is no restriction on being a communist and holding office. And I think that they did that because they were tired of being in the closet and now they want to be openly communistic. We're moving into dark times. I tell people that the whole issue with Texas turning blue is serious, and I mean it. It's serious. Once we give over the presidential election permanently to Democrats, we're in trouble. The the Democratic Socialists of America. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. I caught it by accident, literally just by accident. But I just happened to notice by someone mentioning it that the one of the upper people, like a president or an executive or something like that, upper management of the Democratic Socialists of America, was saying that communism is good. I think the phrase that they used was, let's get this clear, or let's be clear about this, or let's get this straight. Communism is a good thing. And that tweet got likes from other people within the DSA, and they concurred. They wrote their own tweets to say, yes, we concur, we agree. And that chick, that Cortez chick, she's a member of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. This is serious business. This is not a joke. This is serious. This is real. I understand that I sound like I'm getting hysterical, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, communists... I'm not scared of too many things. I am genuinely afraid of communists. The only other things that I'm afraid of are the complete eradication of my people through soft genocide, which would include things like miscegenation. That does scare me. That does, on occasion, cause me to go to sleep a little later than I would normally go. And the other is Islam. Taking root. As we all know, Islam is basically cancer. And if you just look at Africa and the Middle East, the cancer is in stage 2 or 3, depending on how you measure it, in the Middle East and in Africa. It's really, really, really bad business. Like, it's really, really bad. In America, we have stage 1 cancer, so we know that it exists here, but we still have the possibility of excising it. We can still remove the tumor. Anyway, I genuinely view communists as being incrementally more scary because they are viewed as being more legitimate. But whatever. Anyway, let's continue on with the comment. But if you can buy an AR built the whole lower yourself and buy a made upper, that's standard amongst gunnies. Jakey, I am probably going to go for a Fight Light. I believe it's the SCR. It's completely pre-made. The upper takes a proprietary bolt, and the lower is also basically proprietary. Sadly, that's just the way that it has to be, because here in California, to have a normal AR means that you have to either go through registration, which I will not be doing, or you have to go with these super special modifications. So the grip is at a weird angle or whatever. It's a bunch of bull crap that I just don't want to deal with. As for with the Fight Light SCR, that one has a Monte Carlo grip. So the bolt has a little rat tail, and instead of going directly back into the tube, it actually angles down just a touch into the Monte Carlo grip. Not unlike, I can't remember the name of it, but it's an automatic shotgun. I think it's a Remington, but I forget what it is, what model it is. But the point is just that the bolt goes down just at a weird angle, and the trigger group for the SCR is moved back just enough so that it meets up with the grip, the Monte Carlo grip. So basically, it looks like a hunting rifle, but with an AR receiver. That's more or less what it looks like, and I'm cool with that. And because of my medical conditions, it's great because it's sub 6 pounds. It's like 5.7 pounds or something. So yeah, man, strap, red dot, that's it. Good. I'm happy. I don't care. Everything else is happy, fun, icing on that cake. But that's really all I want. It's simple and it's easy. So anyway, whatever. But that's just where I'm coming from. And again, remembering that I live in freaking California. That's all I can get here. So anyway, let's see here. Paul Bunyan says, if I start making bank, I'll fund Eke's cathode ray tube illuminated theremin background music scored creative studio. Freaking awesome. Like LED lights, you know, and like what do you call, like candles. I would probably have like Eastern Orthodox or Catholic style what do they call those, tabernacle or something, so that you've got like a really neat cool thing that's sort of like a centerpiece to the room. Yeah, I would love that. That'd be super cool. Have incense all the time. Yeah, I'd like that. And panels with my favorite saints on them. That'd be super tight. That way, anytime I'm having a problem with editing or something like that, I can take a breather. I can visit the patron saint of editing, and then I can come back fully rejuvenated. Okay, there you go. Cool. Yeah, Paul Bunyan. Heck yes. We'll call it that. All right, let's continue. Okay, actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and play my first track. This first track is super duper paused. I fully understand that, but I just happen to like it. I'm pretty sure that I know what track this is. This is, I want to say it's Deerhoof, and the name of the track is The Galaxist. And I just happen to like this track because it's got some fun, sort of surreal lyrics, and I also like the peculiar combination of what seems like a really relaxed guitar arrangement, but with what sound like really frenetic drums. I can't explain why, but something about the juxtaposition, the interplay of those two elements just kind of catches my fancy. I think it's kind of neat. It's kind of fun. So anyway, this is, I believe, The Galaxist by Deerhoof. I did adjust the volume, so the jump shouldn't be too bad, but nonetheless, on 0 in 3, 2, 1.
Distant galaxy. Conceive on a different galaxy. See
right, that was The Galaxist by Deerhoof. I just happen to like that track. I think it's super cool. It's hard to explain exactly why. I just happen to like the lyrics. In particular, I like the phrase, "think of the ceiling could be in a different galaxy." What the hell are they talking about? It sounds like some kind of a weird drug trip or something. And yet I just love it. There's something about it that I just love. And then, of course, the whole thing with the lights raining down, obviously I'm going to like that for personal reasons. But yeah, I just think it's really cool. Something about that is just a neat, weird track that I like. I can't explain why. Anyway, let's see what other. Let's see here. Jakey asks, what medical issues? Skip this if you don't want to answer that. Yeah, it's something that I just don't really care to go into. It's not life-threatening or anything. Rather, let me phrase that. It was life-threatening earlier this year, late last year. However, I'm doing okay now, and I'm not in danger of anything too serious right now. So I'm okay. But basically, I do have certain permanent issues that I just have to deal with. So the people that go on about weightlifting and getting Haas and all that good stuff, it's great. It's great fun to think about on an abstract level, but I'm never going to be able to do that. So I'm basically permanently a weight weenie, and there's nothing that I can do about that. So yes, I do want to go ahead and do calisthenics because I want to be reasonably strong. I want to be reasonably healthy, and I think that I can achieve that. I think that I can actually be fairly healthy with very few issues. So yeah, basically I can't lift anything over like 50 pounds, and there's certain kinds of activities that I'm simply unable to do. So it's not the end of the world. Like I say, I can still do most things. Interestingly, I actually can lead a much more normal life, so that's great. But yeah, it's just the kind of thing where I don't really care to go into it too much. So I think that that'll do it for that particular discussion. Plus, the whole thing is like I'm willing to discuss certain elements of my life, but I kind of feel like I don't want this. I would prefer that the stream to be focused on concepts and ideas a little bit more than what's going on with me, because I've known people, or rather I've listened to people that have done a lot of like self-posting and narcissistic discussions of what their life and what their day is like and all this. And of course I say that as I was just mentioning my project earlier. So sorry about that. When I titled this, I'm all out of ideas today, I meant that. I really am all out of ideas. I'm having to, I'm still going to stream obviously, but I just don't have the ability to spend too much time on prep at the moment. Anyway, the point is, even though I'm a complete hypocrite because I really was just self-posting earlier in the stream, in general, I prefer the focus to be on ideas. So that's the only reason. That's really all it comes down to. Okay, Toaststone says everyone will be scared of World War III and predator nations such as Russia and China. I still point at Skoson's theories. Eke Lux, I wouldn't be surprised when commies side with Chinese to take over. I wouldn't be too surprised either. I was listening to Skoson's, and I do like his general vibe and feel, but I do think that I'm not convinced he's correct about the inevitability of nuclear war. That said, I am interested, very much interested, in getting out of Los Angeles, because he is correct that Los Angeles, in an absolute worst case scenario, would be just terrible to be in. He mentioned egress as being an important factor in his criteria for what was a good state and what was a bad state. And the egress regarding Los Angeles is abysmal. I mean, it's bad. And that's on a normal day. All you have... Okay, if there was an event, some kind of an emergency event that happened on a weekday in the afternoon, everyone would die. They would just be gone. They would be erased. that would be the end of it. So yes, the problem with Los Angeles is absolutely real. And if it came to a nuclear strike or anything of the sort, everyone would be unable to get out. The only way that you would be able to leave would be through fire roads, and I don't know the fire road system well enough to be able to traverse it. I would end up having to basically get one of those off-road motorcycles, the hybrid motorcycles, and that would be the only way that you would be able to leave Los Angeles, because a car would be too big on those fire roads. So if you had an off-road motorcycle, you'd be fine, but that would mean that you would have to have basically a bug-out bag ready to go at all times. Your motorcycle would have to be ready to go at all times, and you'd have to have very specific routes to get to those fire roads in order to leave Los Angeles, because basically any major road, any major street, including freeways, obviously, would be nothing but a death trap. And I happen to know that if you're going north out of Los Angeles into the valley, so if you're going from like the Hollywood Hills, or from Brentwood, or from Century City, or from K-Town, or whatever, you're going north, your options are limited. There's only like Beverly Glen, Coldwater Canyon, streets like that. So you have very, very limited options going in that direction. Obviously, you would want to go further west, so you'd want to be going toward the fire roads that you would see out above in the Santa Monica Mountains, moving out towards, say, Ventura County, off in that direction anyway. But yeah, once you start thinking in those terms, you're like, well, wait a minute. Why am I even living in Los Angeles? This is a terrible place to be. So anyway, coming all the way back to Skussens, yeah, I do want to listen to some more of his stuff, because I was actually very interested in what he had to say. I just happen to disagree with the inevitability of nuclear war. Like I say, that's just a personal thing. I could very well be incorrect about that. He might be right, in which case, obviously, I would have to eat crow, and that would be very embarrassing and lame. But that's just how I think, and yeah, my criteria for the next place that I want to move will inevitably be some place that is off the beaten path, and also outside of what I think would be a nuclear strike area. I don't think that the Yellowstone caldera is going to blow in my lifetime, so I'm perfectly happy to go up into the Idaho and Montana area, knowing very well that if the caldera were to blow in my lifetime, I would be dead basically instantly, pretty much instantly. I think the shock wave would probably kill me, but, whatever. All right, let's continue down, see where we are. Let's see here, real late night college indie radio. Yeah, that's pretty much the case, yeah. I happen to like that track. Like I say, I know that it's paused, and I know it's ridiculous, but it's just got a neat vibe, so I don't mind it too much. All right, Donald Robertson says, it is just as important to be working to get Republicans elected this fall. I'm not even Republican. I don't like their stands on most issues, but need to get non-cucked Republicans elected. I completely concur. Donald Robertson, as a lifelong Democrat, I am now firmly and staunchly right-wing, and as far as I'm concerned, the majority of the Republican Party is not right-wing. They are Democrats from the 1970s. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Anyway, okay, let's, what else do we have here? Let's see here. Jakey says, you sound eerily like a professor I have. Oh, God, oh, no. I hope that's not a bad thing. We'll imagine that it's a good thing. All right, Paul Bunyan says, Ike, no shit has... Oh, nice, cool, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Finding good music is genuinely difficult, so I'm sorry to say that I draw from a very small pool of music, but I like to think that most of it's pretty good. Okay, let's continue down. All right. There's a lot of interpersonal conversations. It's drawing close to the end of, or rather, it's way past the end of the hour, so in the not too distant future, I think I'm going to call this stream, and I guess I want to play one more track, because I only played like one track. Yeah, I'm going to play one more track. And the other track that I'm going to play is going to be it's going to be George Clanton, because I just happen to like George Clanton, and George Clanton is he's the guy who works under the moniker of Esprit. So I will play some Esprit in just a few moments, but I just want to see if there's any other things going on that are super duper interesting. All right, HIV positive transgender says, if you want to find a nice woman, you have to leave SoCal. I actually agree. I am somewhat embarrassed to say that I did fall for a roasty or two in my youth, much to my chagrin. And this is why I am now a vol cell, because I am completely uninterested. Earlier today, there was a very attractive young woman that was walking directly towards me, and, eye contact, hello, fun glances, and all this good stuff. And in the back of my head, it was completely robotic. I was just like, you have to look, you have to say hello, you have to, check the boxes of being civil. And the reason for this is because as I was doing all of that, all I could think was, oh, gosh, how paused is this one? When I was younger, I used to see such young women and think to myself, oh wow, that's a nice, attractive young woman. And now I look at them and I'm like, oh God, how ruined is this one? Isn't that terrible? I feel so cynical. It's not cool. Anyway, yeah, I do think that it would be a good idea to move from Los Angeles to draw from a pool, to use the same phrase twice, of better quality women. I completely concur. Let's see here. Poll, let's see here. Get a Husqvarna? I want to know what a Husqvarna. I'm looking that up right now. I'm going to throw that directly into Google search. Husqvarna Group, Swedish. Nice. Oh, nice. That's chainsaws. So basically, a chick that's good with being outdoors and gardening. Yes, absolutely. I think the only difference that I would say is that I would prefer a Scottish chick. Because that happens to be my genetic lineage. But yes, a nice Scottish chick that is down with gardening and cooking and hunting, I would absolutely be down with that, 100%. Yes, but of course, this was in reference to power tools and not to chicks, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend that it was talking about chicks, because that's where my mind is, having just read something not but 30 seconds earlier. Okay, let's continue. Where are we? Oh, nice. Julian Graper has his stream locale up and ready, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste that. I've got his stream up in the in another window, so I'm going to copy paste that bad boy right away, so that it's just ready to go. Okay, here we are. This is, and I'll post it again later on. And yeah, in the not too distant future, I am going to call the stream, because it's getting well past my bedtime. So I'm going to play one last track, and I feel like I'm skirting in on what Julian Graper's plans were, so I'm gonna cut this a little quicker than I normally would. So here we are. This is George Clanton's track, "Make It Forever." This is a single that he seems to have released just as a one-off, and I think he only released it like this year or maybe late last year, maybe. And I read in an interview with him that the reason that he wrote this track is because, douchebag that he is, and I love him, I do, he wanted to have something that he could crowd surf to. So this is one of those tracks that is designed to sound like really mirthful and enthusiastic and zealous. So I happen to like it. So this is the banger track, "Make It Forever" by George Clanton of Esprit fame. I'm pretty sure I got the sound levels correct in this one, so the transition shouldn't be too bad. But at any rate, on 0, rest in peace, eardrums, in 3, 2, 1. That was, oh gosh, what was the name of that track again? Make It Forever. That was Make It Forever by George Clanton. So there we go. And also, just for the sake of it, the goal is, in fact, to get a Tradcon goth girl. That's the goal, Tradcon goth girl. So clearly, you would want someone that is slightly more mentally put together than Emily Yaukus, but I guess she's more or less the general trajectory, I suppose. But yeah, obviously, the major factor for myself would she would have to be a blue-eyed Celt, so that's of primary importance. So she would have to have a name that begins with MC, clearly. Though, of course, a Campbell would be fine as well. Okay, at any rate, let's go and see. Apparently there's some kind of thing with Top Gun nationalism, Top Keck nationalism. Yeah, Iceman. I always wanted to be Iceman, even though apparently that is a pretty gay movie, but I don't care. I freaking love Top Gun. When I was a little kid, I loved that movie. Okay. What's going on here? There's some reference to sticks. Apparently someone got excited. Let's see here. I identify as a glass spoon clank. That's funny. That'd be funny. Yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll have a battle between me and faux sticks. That'd be really funny. Yeah, at some point we'll have to arrange that. We'll have a mock battle. Maybe I'll come up with a nice fake account for myself. I could be Sargon. That'd be my Sargon Chuckles, or the chuckle of a cod, Sargon of a chuckle, something like that. Yeah, that'd be my fake handle. Yeah, that's the direction to go. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much where I want to go for this stream. I still hold that the 45 ACP is now a boomer round, bordering on a meme round. 9 mil, bro. But then again, what the hell am I talking about? I'm just some dork with a freaking 22 at this point, so I have no room to talk. Alright, rescinded. Okay, anyway. And Jonathan Pohl says that Emily is the girl for me, but that's absolutely not the case. No way. Because there's a direct correlation between hot and crazy and having a great time for a limited period of time. And I think that Emily Yaukas is exactly the kind of person that I would have gone for when I was younger, when I had a lot more energy, and that is absolutely not the direction that I'd want to go these days. Absolutely not. Okay, I identify as a spoon clank. Says Emily Yaukas is my emo teenage crush. I cut myself every time she leaves a stream. Yes, I actually had to cut out my... I had to stop my crush on Emily Yaukas as well, because my inner thighs just couldn't take it any longer. So, okay, let's continue down. Toaststone says, Quick Eke Lux is Dark World. Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. No way. And if it is, we're going to have to shut that Blu-ray off immediately. Sargon of Ekade. That's funny. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and just call the stream, because I am getting a little bit tired, and I want to go ahead and throw some room to Julian so that I can listen to Julian talk about Protestantism, because I'd like to have something that's fun to listen to. As I drift off into sleep, I can listen to Kiwi talk. So I think that's the direction to go. So with all of that said, since we did just the teensiest toe dipping into some K-streaming tonight, I think that this is the perfect opportunity to make sure, for those who may not be aware, for the 3 people that are new to the stream, all of whom are using sock accounts anyway, doesn't matter, we're going to go with it anyway. Rule number 1, treat every firearm like it's loaded. Rule number 2, sorry, the insomnia. Rule number 2, never cover or sweep anything you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, your finger stays off of the trigger until your sights are on target. And the 4th and final rule is, be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Safety first. If you're going to plink, be safe. Alright, and apparently there are several interpersonal conversations all going on at the same time, so I'm not going to worry about those. And I guess I'm going to move into the tail end with some music. So there you go. I have yet to change the outro music. So it's going to be the standard outro track, which is Sleepwalkers by Lone. And while you're listening to Sleepwalkers, I think that you should think about what kind of exercise you're going to do in the morning. And I think that you should take a nice big glass of water, or either take a drink from a nice big glass of water, so that you stay hydrated, because staying hydrated is super duper important. So there you go. Brush your teeth, floss your teeth, and there we are. Alright guys, I'm going to call the stream because I'm freaking exhausted. So with all of that said, rest in peace eardrums. In 3, 2, 1